What do you do when, for the first time in many years, your little semi-dwarf peach tree goes nuts? And God blessed us with so many peaches. Well, you start looking for new recipes along with your old-time favorites. I got so many of these peaches. They're little because this tree had so many peaches on it, and I've been thinning them for months. I've been going out every time I'm outside, I'm picking more little peaches off the tree to try and thin it. But even with all that, I got crates and crates of peaches. And like I said, they're small, but they have that wonderful, really peachy taste. And so there's a whole lot of flavor in these little peaches. Some are sweeter than others. And I finished picking all of them yesterday because the birds were starting to eat them. I got about 6 crates and a 5-gallon bucket full of these little peaches. So I have plenty and I'm sharing them all over the place. Today what I'm gonna try is I'm gonna make a peach almond conserve. And it's kind of like a jam. I'm not using any additional pectin. I'm just using the fruit's natural pectin and cooking it. And so come on and let's try to make this, and I know it's going to be wonderful. The first thing you have to do is you have to peel the peaches. So I'm just going to put some at a time, and this is almost back to boiling. I'm going to put a few at a time into boiling water and then put them in an ice bath, and that will keep them from cooking, but it'll release the peel, and then I can remove the pit also. It only takes a few seconds, and what I look for is just for it to slightly change color. I don't want to cook them, I just want to get the skin loosened. And it will peel like that. And I use a knife, not so much to cut, but to grab the peel because they get kind of slippery. So the knife just helps you hold on to it. And that's what it looks like when they're peeled. Now, one of the ingredients that this recipe calls for, and I did not have on hand, is oranges, and you need oranges with the peel, but you will take out the seeds. I don't have any fresh oranges, but I do have dehydrated orange slices, including the peel, and without the seeds. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna use these. So I'm gonna put them in a measuring cup. I need 2 cups of chopped. And then I'm gonna add some hot water to just partially rehydrate. I don't want them to be too mushy. I want them to keep, I don't want them to release all their juice into the water that I'm gonna add. So, because these are not chopped and they're slices, I'm adding probably close to 3 cups. But by the time they get chopped up, I think will be about right. And I get these from Azure Standard, and you can use them in potpourri. You can use them in simmering water to scent your house at Christmas or whatever, but why not also use them as the fruit? So I'm going to add a little bit of boiling water to this and start to rehydrate. And I just added a few ladlefuls, and already you can just hear them soaking up that water. And again, I didn't cover them with water because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get them to rehydrate enough to use in the recipe. And you can see they're already doing that. So I'm going to toss them around in this a little bit while they sit. And I'm going to continue working on getting all these peaches peeled, pitted, and chopped. I have peeled, chopped up, and mostly smashed 8 cups of these peaches. Now ideally you want some ripe peaches and you want some that are a little less ripe, that are just a little more firm. And that gives you some of that natural pectin. And then we're going to get some from these orange slices. And if you can get about 3/4 of the peaches that are fully ripe and 1/4 that is a little bit firm, a little bit underripe, that's a great ratio. Now I'm just going to chop up this orange, peel and all, fine. And so it's gonna have the orange, it's gonna have a little of the bitter, but you're also getting that natural pectin in there. And you need 2 cups of this. So we'll see where we're at after I get this amount chopped up. I'll bring you back in a few minutes when I've got this all chopped up. I have my dehydrated and partially rehydrated oranges chopped up, and we need 2 cups, and it's just a tiny bit shy of that, but they're also not fully rehydrated. So I decided I'm going to add that liquid that was left, which wasn't very much. And you can see it really doesn't add liquid to it because it's going to be soaked up by this. And it had the orange flavor because I tasted it. So I've got my mashed up peaches. I have my chopped up orange. Now we need to start preparing the spice bag. And I have these cute little bags, drawstring, muslin, but you can definitely just use some cheesecloth. And I need 1 teaspoon of whole allspice berries. We need 1 teaspoon of whole cloves. And then it calls for 1 4-inch cinnamon stick. Mine are kind of not quite 3 inches. So I'm going to basically use 2 of these. I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference. We want to break those up. And I'm trying to decide the best way to do that. That's not going to work. There's always a way. My meat masher. Get most of the breakables out of the way. Aha! That did it. So I'm going to add those to my spice bag. Now you wouldn't want to crunch into this in your conserve, so that's why it's going in a spice sachet, so that when this is finished cooking, it will leave all the flavor without all the little pieces. So we're going to draw that up tight. Okay, I have my spice sachet ready. We're going to get ready and start cooking this Peach Almond Conserve. Now I have a large stainless steel pot with a heavy bottom. And I am going to add all of those peaches. To that, I'm going to add the orange. And again, I'm making that substitution from fresh orange to dehydrated that I have partially rehydrated. It should work. We're going to find out. And we're going to drop our spice bag in there. Nice thing is these are washable and you can reuse them. And I have already washed all of my half-pint jars. It says it will make about 10. I did 12 to be on the safe side. I have got them in my water bath steam canner, and I've got them heating up, staying warm. Even though I don't need them yet, I don't have to worry about that. That's already in place. I'm gonna bring this mixture to a boil and let it boil for 15 minutes. By then, the fruit should be softened. I'm gonna be stirring this occasionally. Right now especially because I just put it in, there's not a lot of juice released yet. But as I do this, the fruit will soften, it will release its juices, and then I'm just going to keep stirring it occasionally. I'm going to cook this until it comes to a boil, then I'm going to reduce the heat and cook it for 15 minutes, stirring it occasionally. Once it comes to the boil, it will probably have a lot more juice released and it won't be as necessary to stir all the time. In the meantime, I'm getting my other ingredients ready. Okay, it's come to a boil. I'm going to reduce the heat. Now I'm going to simmer this 15 minutes and stir it occasionally. So this has been 15 minutes. Now I'm going to add 7 cups of sugar. Up till now, this is only peaches, orange, and the spice bag. But we're going to pour in 7 cups of sugar. We're going to stir that in really well. And we're going to raise the heat and bring it back up to a boil. Once it comes up to a boil, we're going to continue to boil it until it thickens. I've had this boiling for about 15 minutes, and if you can tell, it's thickened up. So now I'm going to add 1 cup of maraschino cherries that I cut in half, and that's basically about this 16-ounce jar. And I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of slivered almonds. I'm going to return that to a boil and boil it, stirring constantly for about 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. But be careful because it is splattering. I boiled this for about 5 minutes. I'm going to give it a good stir. And then I have a metal spoon that I have in ice water, and we're going to do a sheeting test. And I think maybe a minute or 2 more, but I think it's almost there. So back on the heat for another minute. Okay, that is what we want to see. It all slides off together. So now we're going to gather up our little bag here, if I can grab hold of it. remove the bag. Now we're gonna start jarring this up. I'm keeping my jars hot in my steam canner so that there won't be any shock when I add the hot conserve to it. So I'm gonna ladle it into there, and I need to put about a 1/4 inch headspace. And that's right about 1/4 inch. If you use that very first notch, that is a 1/4 inch. But I do want to debubble, although it's pretty liquid at this point, so I don't think there's going to be a lot to debubble. But do it anyway. And I've got water on a paper towel, and I'm going to clean the rim and the top rings really carefully, because if you don't, that could cause it not to seal. And I am using my favorite Superb canning lids. These have more sealant on them, and they use the blue sealant. They have more of it, and I think it's 5 layers of coating on the underside, BPA free. And the major canning lid manufacturers says 18 months. Superb says up to 36 months. And so far I have had no issues with their lids. So that pretty stuff is going in my steam can. And I took a small taste of this, and oh yeah, it's good. All right. Gonna debubble. I think I need just a touch more. Yeah, just a little bit more in here. That's it. So now we're at 1/4 inch headspace. We're gonna clean it off really well. And I do keep my lids in hot water. I have not had no issues by doing that. I don't boil them, but I do keep them in hot water. Center the lid, the ring on finger tight, and that's loosely. It's not, I'm not pressing hard, it's just spinning it with my fingers. And that's going in the canner. I'm going to finish filling all these jars and I'll bring you back. I have 10 filled jars in my steam canner, and I'm bringing that up to temperature right now. And I had enough to fill one more jar. Isn't that pretty? This one's going in the refrigerator for us to eat. It would fit in the canner, but yeah, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to grab a lid, close it up. This will go in the refrigerator for us to eat. It would be good on toast or English muffin or something like that. But imagine this on some ice cream. That's what I'm thinking. Sounds amazing. So you process this in a boiling water bath or a steam canner for 10 minutes at sea level. for my altitude, it's going to be 20 minutes because I'm at 5,200 feet. So I will process 20 minutes, and then I'll turn the canner off, crack the lid a little bit, and let it sit for 5 minutes before I take my jars out. So as soon as my canner comes up to temperature, that's when I start the timer. If you're boiling water bath, you want it to be at a boil. For a steam canner, mine actually has a gauge that tells me when it's within the right range, and I just keep it within that range for the full time. So I'll bring you back when it's all done. So the timer's about to go off. That green area right there means it's processing at temperature. So I'm going to turn the heat off. And what's great about a steam canner is you don't have to use as much water, but the steam creates enough heat and holds it to be able to process safely. So you can do the same thing as a water bath, but without all of those gallons of water. So now I'm going to let this sit for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and just slightly move the lid so that a lot of the steam will escape. And I'm going to let it go another 5 minutes. I've found that by doing that, I get less evacuation out of the jars and less lid failure. So I'll be back in 5 minutes, tilt the lid, and then 5 more minutes. I've left the lid cracked to the side like this for 5 minutes. Now I'm gonna, ooh, pop! Double pop at once. That was pretty cool. So I am gonna start taking the jars out. Isn't that beautiful? So here is what the steam canner looks like, and I put this silicone screen across the rack because it makes the smaller jars sit more level. The water only comes up to the bottom of that silicone rack, which is only a few inches of water in this big pot. So that is a huge benefit of using a steam canner. And here are these beautiful jars, and I've been hearing these superb lids popping, and they make us very satisfying pop. There's a couple here, and I just took them out, so there's maybe 3 I see that have not popped already, but I just took them out also, and they are so pretty. I had one jar that it was full and I could have put it in the canner, but I decided that's going to be our treat, so it's going in the refrigerator. And I tasted it, and oh my gosh, it's wonderful. And it doesn't seem to make a difference that I use the dehydrated orange instead of fresh. So I consider that a success, and that was a great substitution for what I had on hand. Pop, there goes another one. Love that sound. It's so satisfying. So Peach Almond Conserve. Yeah, it would be great on English muffins, but I'm thinking ice cream. That's what I'm thinking. Thanks for watching, and God bless.